For that. Again, I'm not very... Alright, we should all be live now. At least I thought we were. Yep, we are now live. Sorry for this sort of awkward opening. I don't do this very often, but today we're back because... Well, I'm back because I'm going through building our D&D subclasses for the setting that I've been working on for, I don't know, several years now. And today we're going to be building a Cleric subclass. It's pretty straightforward, I think. The Cleric is usually... It has a whole lot going on for it, and it's already, even without a lot of the subclasses, one of the more important classes in the game, and it can do pretty much anything. So finding out what you want your Cleric to do is going to help build the subclass. So here, this is something I think if you're building a setting you should have. I call it a world book. You can call it your game Bible, whatever you want to call it, but has all of the information that you need. So we'll go down to give a basic idea. So all of your subclasses or classes or anything, they should have a reason for existing in the world. And so that gives us our cleric. So one of the threats, dangers, whatever you want to call it, in Aryssa is this thing called the Bubbling Void, which essentially it's a plane of existence it has some sort of unknown intelligence about it, and it wants to become more sentient and more understanding. And since in our fake world here that we're building, Aryssa is a new plane of existence essentially. This is a whole new experience for this void, and therefore, um, finding a way to defend from this ever encroaching bit of chaos that destroys everything it touches is really important to the people of this plane, and therefore our cleric subclass is going to be based around dealing with the threats that come out of this all-consuming void, which is, some sort of gray, lifeless, again, void that as it touches things, it sort of drains the life and individuality and experience from them, and adds it to the ever-growing attempt at a consciousness that this void has. So that's the concept behind what we're going to build today. So if you've seen this before, we don't need this open anymore. This link here and the D&D Beyond forums gives you the levels you'll need to put things in for your subclass. The cleric gets a whole lot of features. It's front loaded a little bit, and then the level 8 and 17 abilities, odds are your players will never see level 17, so that'll be something we'll deal with when we get there. In case you've forgotten, in the past, as we've been building things for Aryssa, we've made ourselves a rogue, a bard, here's a fighter, barbarian, and warlock. So a lot of cool things just sitting around waiting for us to go back to. But now that we've ran through all of that, we'll have this page open because being able to go and compare what all of the different domains get us is going to help us make sure that what we're building makes sense for our character. Equipment will be important because, as you'll notice, a lot of clerics get bonus proficiencies, and so maybe we'll want to go back and see what our our void defense squad, whatever we want to end up calling them, are going to bring to the world. So come here, we want to create subclass. We're gonna be a cleric, and we're going to create it from scratch. Yeah, if you've seen me do one of these before, which I don't think I've done one for a couple of months, I have no idea how to number things with a version number. And then what we want to do is we want to go back here, and one of the things I think is important is to try and keep all of your descriptions roughly the same. So we're going to just keep this. No, I'm not sure I want to do that. So here's all of this stuff that's somewhat important. So, short description. Create new version. We won't end up saving this. We'll end up deleting this in a little bit because it's just important to know. So here we go. So the description is longer. It's the mechanical description. It's kind of hard to tell. But anyway, we're going to basically steal this, and then we're going to make it relevant to our void shield. Go back on our path of the Dunestalker, and then we want to delete this additional thing that we just made because we really don't want extra things floating around. Alright, so I guess I do still need here we go. Because we want to be able to keep a little bit of the world book here. So, the Void Shield is a branch of the Aryssan Church dedicated to defeating, to protecting from mysterious plane. So, known only as the. So one of the key things is that there's basically a set of neutral mages who don't get involved in the politics of the world and are focused on studying this. So these clerics work closely with the archmages of Aryssa and church. So we need about 5 lines of explanation in the church to scout out potential areas where where the plane of Aryssa and the bubbling void intersect. These clerics train specifically to fight against the void and their entire, and to do so in the and gain a further understanding of the void. So that's what we know about the class, and here's where your mechanics and your lore need to sort of come together. So what is the Bubbling Void? It's exactly what it sounds like, right? It's a big, gray, nasty place that tries to, what do we call it? Like, it tries to absorb anything it touches. So that will come into play when we get into the mechanics of it. These clerics are generally not within the official church and maintain a neutral stance when related to Aryssan politics. Yeah. Seek out. That just sort of helps someone who wants this to be their subclass to figure out what their place in the world is. And let's actually make this a little bit bigger and easier to see. So now our description, this is simple, right? A cleric who has chosen the Void Shield domain. So what are they going to do? Well, are taking on a defensive role for their team and will use their cleric abilities to define. So let's talk about the sort of mechanics we want here, right? So they're training to fight an extraplanar threat, so they need to be good against extraplanar threats. The thing that they're primarily fighting is something that is all-consuming, and anything it touches, it corrupts. So they need to be good at controlling, good at AoE control, and preventing and protecting people, things, and they need to be able to control, and they need to be able to do zone control. How they do that, we'll get into, but now that we know those are all of our things are going to base around one of those three things. So they're not going to be stepping into too many of the other popular, what are they called, domains. They're certainly not going to be getting into the Arcana or the Life domain. They're going to be, hopefully when we're done, they're going to have a new niche that other cleric domains don't really play around in. So Void Shields are at their best. So okay. So unlike all of the other classes where I didn't really have an idea going in, I kind of know what the mechanic for these people are. Their mechanic are animated shields that they throw around and they use to block off areas, interfere with enemies, and protect their friends. So here is where we want to sort of start defining that for people who are picking this. So Void Shields are at their best when using versatile weapons and shields, because we want their hands full, and we want when they throw their shield to block that square, to harass that bad guy, to protect their rogue, we want them to be able to use their offhand for things. So we want them using versatile weapons and shields. Their Divine Channel ability is, and this is more stuff from the Dunestalker we don't need, is focused on using their shield as a way to influence the battlefield. Aid allies, and harass their opponents. This next line is a little bit more about the world, so here we're going to say Void Shields. Void Shields act as a neutral voice focused on the survival of the plane of Aryssa itself, and they see themselves as above petty squabbles over territory or among the other vanguards. And the vanguards are essentially kind of gods, good enough for our purpose of explaining what's going on here. So here again, void shields generally focus on defensive magic with their spells, and they are almost always willing to be at the front to protect others. So we're defining a role for them. A void shield. While a void shield may often feel certain threats are below them, they have made a choice to protect the people of Aryssa. Are known to be dedicated and unflinching in their conquest, in their commitments, in this commitment. All right, so we've done everything you should do with your write-up for a subclass, right? Here's where you fit in the world. Here's roughly what you do mechanically, and now we're gonna sort of tell you why you want to play a void shield. If you want to be a frontline combatant with access to divine magic and control the battlefield. You want to be a cleric that goes beyond. You want to be a cleric, and there's really not too much here, right? You want to be a cleric focused on dealing with summoned creatures and extraplanar threats. You imagine your cleric as knowledgeable and focused. Focused on the other world, on other worlds. You want to use your abilities to support your allies and weaken your enemies. All right, pretty clear, right? Excellent. Now, building a void shield. Like all clerics, focus on wisdom first, as you will have access to decent melee weapons, strength and constitution should both be considered. So there we go. No special advice here for the void shield. So we're not going to add a spell list. We don't need to add spell casting ability. Already can cast. Here we go. Additional specific spells. All right. Here's where we now need our list here, because domain spells are important. So these are your domain spells, which, just to remind you, preparing and casting spells. Right. So these are your spells you're gonna always have prepared as a void shield. So we're gonna just steal this. So that we can can make sure that we do this right. So you get 2 spells at 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th. So let's go ahead, open a new Beyond window, spells. Just want all of the spells. That's game rules, view all. Alright. Now this is actually going to be pretty easy, right? Because first level, obviously, spiritual weapon is going to be a level one spell that you should have. And we're going to add Shield of Faith as our. I'm pretty sure that's a level 1 spell, but we'll double check just to make sure. It's running a little bit slower than I thought. Yeah, first level spell. Great. So here again, we want spells that are readily available and players don't need to go out of their way for. So we're looking for stuff that makes sense if you're a character who's focused on dealing with extra planar threats or controlling the battlefield, which I thought Banish was 3rd level, but I am wrong. Is it a? Oh, it's 4th level. I won't get to be a. Well, that's unfortunate. So, so one of the things we want to do is include things that will let us use some bonus actions as the Void Shield and to give them some oomph while fighting. So I think Blinding Smite is an excellent choice that we were going to use, but I just want to make sure that we can find ourselves another one. So Counterspell is really good, and it's too good to be a domain spell for what else we're going to be giving them. Oh, that would be really nice, but I don't want to steal something that good from the Paladin. Dispel Magic isn't really something we want again, because we don't want to we don't want to give too much out that is going to take away from better power here. And this, I think, is what I was thinking about. A Glyph of Warding is the other thing, because it gives them something to do to defend an area, to set up for, holding an area. So Glyph of Warding is probably what we're going to give them. We're just going to scroll through real fast and make sure. Maybe Magic Circle is a better choice. Oops, all spells. So let's compare Magic Circle to the Glyph of Warding. Casting time 1 minute. I think Magic Circle fits better, and it's already on the Cleric list, so we're not not giving them too many options that aren't on their list already. So now we're going to look at 5th level spells, which I believe Banishing Smite is a 5th level spell. Yes, the next time, extra damage and banishing. Yes, that's exactly what we want our void cleric to do. Banishing Smite. Now, another 5th level spell that isn't very good, but on theme, right? Because that was incredibly good. We don't want to give them, we wouldn't want to give them Cloud Kill, right? Contact other plane would be neat, because that is kind of what they do, but again, out of cleric, and it's really good. No, the ability to accidentally go insane with a low intelligence save, it's really just not gonna be good for our cleric. We might end up giving it to them just to see our clerics occasionally go crazy. Actually, Dispel Evil and Good, it's already on their list. It gives them another way to dismiss. Yes, Dispel Evil and Good is their other 5th level spell. And now the 7th and 9th level spells, honestly, you're going to very rarely get to this point, so I feel a little more free in not worrying about power differentials and things like that once we get to this level. Again, because you're never really going to see it, so I'm a little more okay with what we do here. Now, this is a cool spell. It's I think it's one of the ones from Tasha's, yeah, where you get to walk planes. But again, that's not what they're about, right? They're about figuring things out and all of that. However, this feels more like they fight things on other planes. So etherealness, I think, is one of their 7th level spells that they will always have prepared. It's really hard to find. Like at the higher level, there aren't that many spells, and then some of them are ridiculous. Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Yeah, no, we're not going to let you just pop up a temple to the gods, though it's kind of cool to know that such a spell does exist. No, we don't want summoning celestials. That's not really what they do. No, Crown of Stars isn't really a thing that they should do either. What's Divine Word? No, that's not really them. Maybe we do give them the ability to walk planes. Yeah, let's read the walking planes again. Yeah, no, I think that's actually pretty cool. Where we might end up not being able to publish this with that in there. And if not, then we'll have to give them some boring spell at 7th level, but yeah, that's okay. And then our 9th level spells, I think Astral Projection, obviously. Yeah, like see, like there's just not a lot of real good options here. Yeah, no, if it's uh, da, 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 da. No, we don't want gate. I think imprisonment might be what I was thinking. Yeah. Yeah, I think imprisonment is indeed, because again, when you get to ninth level, you start to have these this sort of nonsense. So let's look through again. You know what? We're gonna just delete. We won't use Dream of the Blue Veil because I'm pretty sure that makes this not able to get published because it's not a base spell. So we'll give them some boring cleric, some boring spell for 7th level that's not as on theme, but that is usable. Not Finger of Death, not Force Cage. Oh, there we go. Like a better spiritual weapon. Yeah. Mordenkainen and Sword, and then we had Astral Projection and Imprisonment. So, first level spells, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th. And we should be able to create the subclass now. We'll build expanded spell lists, domain spells, oath spells, etc. Okay, create subclass. Alright, so here is where this is going to come in for us, and we'll just use the life domain because I believe that's the one they show everyone, so I don't feel bad. So the first thing, level 1, I'm going to say domain spells. So class features, here we want to start closing things out. So the class features are going to happen at levels 1, 2, 6, 8, 17. So level 1 is things like proficiencies and domain spells. Nothing super exciting. This is the channel divinity, which basically defines your stuff. 6 is your second use of CD, and if you look at the life cleric, is like some sort of big thing that just really helps you. So this is a big bonus. Level 8. I think level 8 is basically for everyone here. Let's go to another one of the starter ones. I think lights in the player's handbook. Yeah, so like level 8 is where you're getting something that just makes a thing you normally do better. So yeah, like Divine Strike is some variant on Divine Strike is pretty common. I think the War Domain gets a second attack at that level. Oh no, it gets its own version of Divine Strike. I think what Knowledge Domain's potent spell casting. Yeah, so this is a potent spell casting Divine Strike. So something that defines whether you're a casty cleric or a smacking cleric. And then level 17 is your big capstone. So and the life domain's not that exciting. Light domain level 17, if I remember, is really big. So this is like big, flashy, and it's very focused on being divine. So that's what we know from looking at all of the various class details that we can look at. And channeled divinity. When do you get your? Do you get a third use of channel divinity? Class features. Spellcasting, divine domain, channel divinity. 6 and 18th. You get so at level 18 is when you get your third use of CD, which is good to know. All right, so we don't need this anymore. So here are the things that we know we want, right? Proficiencies in domain spells. So right now, if you have this here, I don't know if it actually tells you what your domain spells are. So here we're going to say Void Shield to domain spells. The snippet. Let's go ahead and I should have left that open. Because I want to steal. Oh, it doesn't actually have any snippet. And the Void Shield domain gains access to the following spells as domain spells. We'll steal the language for domain spells from up here. A lot of building these classes, as you'll notice, is stealing language that already exists. So here we go. The Void Shield domain spells are. Can I just steal one of their tables that's already built? Now it's not actually a table, is it? First, third, fifth, seventh, ninth. Bulleted list. Oh, I should have spiritual weapon. Shield of faith. I should have left. I should have left this open so that I could grab the links to everything, because you do want all of your stuff to have links whenever possible, because it will make it easier on your players and people using this. Should have kept this open too. So let's link a new tab. Alright, we'll have to fix that. It's probably one of these spells I actually can't. Oh, it reordered them. Alright, well, let's do this then in the order that we can remember them. Astral projection, imprisonment, so one of the things that I find actually one of the reasons I do this, even though it's probably not that exciting watching someone build these, is that it helps me focus to be doing this, and I just enjoy building these things, you know, and being accountable and knowing that, I actually should be doing this way. Um, Banishing Smite. That was, I believe, level 5. Maybe that's the one that's not in the. No, that's in the player's handbook. Banishing Smite. Oh, it's probably Mordenkainen's sword because it's got the name on there. So that's the next thing we'll have to do is we'll have to figure out what it doesn't like. Blinding Smite, possibly? I think that's in the player's handbook, too. No, it is. But that's what your... This is actually kind of what your domain spells should do for a cleric. It should help them get an idea of what their role is and what you envision the cleric, how the cleric should be played, right? Like a lot of the times when I look at one of these lists, their domain spells are just all the good spells from that they can find. Spell evil and good, which isn't really, and this is a 5th level spell, isn't really, in my mind, a good design, because at the moment, clerics have lots of really good options, and focusing their options is what you want to do. Because a cleric can already do basically whatever they want by choosing their spells carefully. Now this is in the basic rules. And this is a 7th level spell. Imprisonment, Magic Circle, and Mordenkainen's Sword is probably what we're going to have to change. There's our Magic Circle. I don't know. Spell names. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's in the basic rules, so I don't know why that would be. Well, we're gonna put it in here, and we may end up having to change our spells at some point. Oop, nope, I want to just paste without whatever. Mordenkainen's sword. feel like I had the same problem when I was doing the warlock spells, where it was hard to tell what was causing the problem. So acquired class level 1, display order 1. This isn't actually going to replace any class features or anything. It's not. It doesn't have options. This is just so that it appears on the character sheet and people know what their domain spells are. So create class feature, void shield domain, close that. There we go. Void shield domain spells required. And then we need another class feature, void shield proficiencies. Snippet. I believe. Here we go. Oh, let's use the same language they're using as usual. Bonus proficiencies. When you my cleric's already proficient with shield. I forget if it's this edition or 4th edition that yeah, you're already proficient with shields. With heavy armor. And so, do I still have my equipment page open? No. So, equipment. We want to give ourselves equipment. Nope, that's for monsters. Weapons. No. Will this search get me what I want? No. Alright, sources. Player's handbook. Equipment. Weapons. Alright, what we want is we want our void shields to be proficient with everything that's versatile. So, clerics are already proficient with all simple weapons, so we don't need to add a special rule that they're proficient with the spear or the quarterstaff. And don't care about ranged weapons, so we need to add proficiency with, I believe it's battle axe, longsword, warhammer. And there we go. Those are our 3 extra weapon proficiencies. So let's go back to our create feature and the warhammer, longsword, and what was the piercing or slashing one? Battle axe. Is it really one word? I just looked at this. Yep, it's really one word. Okay. So, required class level 1, display order 2. And you already know this at level 1. Feature type granted. It's not going to replace anything. Create this class feature now. Add a modifier. Modifier type. I thought this is how we would do it. Nope. Back to bonus proficiencies. Level scaling. Modifiers, actions. Modifiers, add modifiers to your class feature. Yeah, no, this is what I think we should be doing. here. Modifier type, proficiency. Oh, okay. Battle axe. Save. Oh, okay. So we can't just do. Okay. So now we need proficiency. Longsword. Oh, longsword's also one word. Let's go back up here then. And where's my save button? Oh, it's at the bottom. Save changes. Add a modifier. Proficiency with the width. Heavy armor. Actually, let's, because I like things to be in you know, some sort of order. So now it should be the weapons in alphabetical order, and that should be the same order I did it here, right? Oh no, totally didn't. Oh, you know what? Do they uppercase? They don't uppercase them. That's actually a really cool thing I never noticed. Alright, now we need to give our cleric proficiency with heavy armor, and then I think all of our level 1 stuff is in. Oh, nope. Cancel save changes. Add a modifier. There are some odd options in there. Okay. Save changes. Aryssa, Void Shield Domain. Alright. Our level 1 is complete. So level 2 is our Channel Divinity. And we're going to go back here so that we can steal the language from how it looks. So we'll just grab that for now. Add a class feature. Channel Divinity. So, starting at 2nd level, you can use your Channel Divinity to animate your shield. Animate your shield. As an action, you present your shield. Present your holy symbol, and so we want this to be special, right? So let's save this, because here's part of create class feature. Part of what description stuff. Acquired class level 2, display order 3, feature type granted. Okay, so we can create this and we can come back and fix it now. So basic information. So this actually needs to change to display order 4, because there's one other thing we want to give you at 1st level. Display order 4. Save changes. Add a class feature. Void Shield. When after a long rest, you may inscribe a divine symbol on a shield. This shield becomes your void shield. You require a void shield to use your Channel Divinity. So this is actually going to be our level. We're actually going to give this to you at level 2. This is going to be number 3. Uh, you may choose one of the three effects. You may choose one of these 3 effects each day. Now this is where things are going to be interesting. We have, here, let's create this, it's a granted feature. Actions. Oh, it doesn't let us give items, does it? Nope, that's not what we want. Cancel that. So add a modifier. You may choose one of these 3 effects a day. Increase the shield's armor class by 1. We'll increase the void shields. This should and is magic. While the shield is equipped or protecting an ally, you and that while the shield is the shield grants resistance to 1 damage type. If the void shield is protecting an ally, it also grants resistance. It grants. So we don't want it to be the shield that does this, right? So your armor class is increased by 1. You gain resistance to 1 damage type. If the void shield is protecting an ally, that ally gains an additional +1 AC. If the void shield is interfering with an enemy, we're not really big on -1s to AC, and we don't want advantage is something we're already going to get with the channel divinity later. It receives if that enemy receives damage rolls on that enemy have advantage. Roll dice twice, take the best value. It gains that ally has resistance to this damage type as well. If the void shield is interfering with an enemy, remove that enemy's resistance to this damage type. And we said there were 3 effects, so you gain proficiency. Ooh, proficiency is really good. You gain advantage to 1 saving throw. Strength, dexterity, constitution, wisdom, or intelligence, wisdom or charisma. If the void shield is protecting an ally, that ally has advantage on this saving throw as well. If the void shield is interfering with an enemy, that enemy has disadvantage on these saving on that type of saving throw. So this is the big mechanic for our void shield. No, I didn't want it there. So you're either making yourself a little bit tougher, you're making your spells land better and protecting your friends. This is everything. And the beautiful thing is that you don't need to create any of these options down here because it's all right here. I don't think we'll need to, and I think in the character builder, it should work fine. Because during, well, we'll see. We might have to change that, but there we go. We'll save our changes. Go back here. All right, we'll delete our channel divinity here. All right, add a class feature, channel divinity, animate void shield. Here is where we get to do some cool stuff. You present your holy symbol and animate your void shield. For the next 10 minutes is really long. 1 minute is like one encounter, maybe two. Is 10 minutes too long? Because that'll let you get through several rooms. And we really want you to be we want this to be something that you do fairly regularly, because this is going to eat up your bonus action economy, which is why, well, no, I think this is fine. So, as an action, you present your holy symbol and animate your void shield. How long does spiritual weapon last? Because it's basically going to be the same sort of thing. I think spiritual weapon is concentration for a minute. Oh no, it isn't concentration, is it? Well, I never knew that. Fun fact, spiritual weapon isn't concentration. That changes a lot. Okay, so for the next 1 minute, your void shield is animated, and you may command it with your bonus action. In addition, if you have a spiritual weapon or I'm gonna I wish it would tell me what the has data mapped to it. Well, okay. I want to figure this out. So let's go ahead, and what happens if we just delete Mordenkainen's sword. Save changes. Creations. Aryssa, void shield domain. That is licensed content or private homebrew. I'm very confused about this, and this is the is it etherealness? Is that the problem? Nope, that's basic rules. Is it astral? No, I deleted astral projection. Is it imprisonment? We're just gonna open up all of our spells and see which one of these is causing the issue. It's not etherealness, not imprisonment. Might is the player's handbook considered not allowed? That would be really frustrating. Let's test that. Um, so let's delete the 2 smites. Gonna be really sad if the 2 smites are what's causing problems, because those were. I think it was. Can we not have smites as save changes? Yeah, no, we're not allowed to have smites as one of our domain spells. Okay, well this is interesting. So we have to fix our domain spells now. Description, blah blah blah. Required class level 2, display order, we're gonna call that 4, feature type granted. Create class feature. Alright. Let's see if that works now. Void Shield, okay. Void Shield domain spells. So, we can't have these smites. That's really kind of surprising. So let's go back up here. Game rules, spells. Show advanced filters. There we go. That will now solve our problem, I hope. And so we need 3rd and 5th level spells. Actually, let's just do one at a time. So we can't have smites for something that we publish to the world. That's really interesting and is going to make... now I see why so many people give things like counterspell and dispel magic, because that's what you have to. So yeah, our 3rd level spell is now going to be Glyph of Warding, because we were looking at that to begin with, but the Banishing Smite was way cooler. And then we need our 5th level spell. Yeah, we should I kind of wish the player's handbook was allowed. Is it going to be Animate Objects? Animate Objects is a really good spell. It might end up being Animate Objects because that's what they do with their shield, right? They animate it, and that's pretty neat. Yeah, I think that's what it's got to be. Legend lore. That's pretty cool, but not what we want to give them. Oh wait, what's planar binding? No, they don't like to bind things to them. They're basically trying to get rid of them. Yeah, animate objects. Alright, so got rid of their smites because we had to. I'm kind of disappointed by that, but good to know. Save changes. Now we come here. Additional specific spells. We want spiritual weapon, shield. No, not fire shield. Shield of faith. Oh, well, gee, I should have been paying attention too. Sorry. So all we're really doing, it's nothing all that exciting. I use this just to help me focus on when I'm trying to build these subclasses for our homebrew D&D, and it helps me to be on here. Well, I'm glad that someone thinks it's exciting. It's often really boring just sort of alternating through tabs and doing all of this, but I find it, like I said, it helps me focus, and I'm learning things. I think the biggest thing that I learned today is spiritual weapons, not concentration, and that really changes how I'm going to use it, and it makes me think it's an even better spell than I already thought it was. Well, well, thank you. Now we save our domain spells, and we can go back to what we were trying to do in the first place. Now that our domain spells are fine again, I hope. Let's go all the way back up and see if we are getting that error we were getting before. Okay, so we're not using anything that's not allowed by wizards. And that brings us back to we want this open, and then our animate void shield. So the idea behind this, I don't know how long people have been watching and listening, so I'll go ahead back to this. This is a cleric who basically has an animated shield as his or her channel divinity trick, and so you can, when you animate your shield with channel divinity, you can keep it on yourself, you can throw it to a friend, you can use it to harass an enemy, and that's your channel divinity trick. Now we just have to figure out the wording to make it work. In addition, if you have a spiritual weapon, or I think it's Mordenkainen's. Come on, mark with me here. Because this is a basic rules, right? Or a Mordenkainen's sword. Sword. Active. You may activate them when you activate your animated void shield. Oh. As a bonus action, you may command your void shield, your animated void shield, to take one of the following actions. One of the following bonus actions. So first things first is zone control. We'll come up with a better name later. The animated shield flies to an area within 30 feet, and until you give it another command, enemies may. I think the term they use is hostile creatures may not move through the square or adjacent squares to the shield, to the animated void shield. In addition, the animated. I should have come up with a better name so that we didn't have to keep saying this. The animated void shield blocks line of sight for hostile creatures in that same area. Support ally. The animated void shield flies to an ally within 30 feet's pretty small. Let's say 60 feet. 60 feet is a move and a dash for most creatures. I don't think so. Until you give it another command, that ally may spend their reaction to give an attacker disadvantage. In addition, that ally gains the benefit of your... We're going to call this Void Shield Enhancement so that we have a name for it, of your Void Shield Enhancement. Until the start of that ally's next turn, attacks against them have disadvantage. I spelled disadvantage wrong. There we go. Attack and damage rolls. Interfere with enemy. And I spelled interfere wrong. I'm just not good at typing when people are watching. Interfere with enemy. The animated void shield fly within 60 feet and enters their square to a hostile creature within 60 feet and enters, well, it can't enter their square. The animated void shield makes an attack against that enemy using your spell casting modifier and proficiency. If it hits, it deals... we're gonna have it scale like a cantrip. What's a good cleric cantrip? Sacred Flame. And deals 1d8 magic blunt damage. Animated void shield damage increases by 1d8 when you reach 5th level, 2d8, 11th level, 3d8, and 17th level, 4d8. The hostile creature suffers the effects of your void shield enhancement, and you may use your reaction to give an ally attacking this creature advantage. So there we go. That's your thing. And so what we want to do is we want everything else to get better at the same pace, right? So in addition, that ally gains temporary hit points. Gains 1d4 temporary hit points. 2d4 at when you reach fifth level. 3d4 when you reach 11th level, and 4d4 when you reach 17th level. The ally loses all temporary hit points if the shield is moved. the animated void shield. Void shield is moved. And then bolster self. Basically lets you use this on yourself. Your animated void shield leaves your arm, allowing you to use both hands for the duration, which actually should go here. You gain 1d4. You do not lose these temporary hit points if the animated shield is moved to a hostile creature or to an empty space. Flies to an empty square within, because we need to use that language, right? To an empty, not space, square. So this lets you help yourself, and then bolster spiritual weapon. And no, we don't want to be. You know what? I'm actually all right with this. Now, in addition, any friend, your spiritual weapon. When you may activate them when you activate your in addition, as long as your animated void shield is active. Now we don't need your spiritual weapon's already really good. We don't need to make it better. So that, I think, one thing I really like about 5th edition is that you can do things like this. One of the downsides also is, like, maybe this shouldn't have been a cleric, because, like, this is a whole lot of really cool stuff, and clerics already get a whole lot of cool stuff. We don't need to hide it in builder. Display order. It's granted. There's no options, no class feature options. Oh, should we make each of these an action? No, we should steal that. And then it is going to add an action. We want to save changes. So there should be 2 actions here, right? Add action, action type. It's a general action. Channel divinity. Animate void shield. We don't need any of that. Save. All right. We may need to make this look nicer when we look and see what it looks like in the character builder, but for now, there we go. We've got our class features. Then I think our next cleric class feature is 6. So one of the big things here we get is our second use of channel divinity, and that's just something every cleric gets. And level 6 is usually a pretty big thing. So add a class feature, enhanced void shield, your void shield Now, your Void Shield enhancement. Okay. Oops, we should have stolen the text before we went here. Edit. Edit. We didn't save, so this is display order 5. Improve Void Shield enhancement. Starting at 6th level, your Void Shield enhancement is further improved as below. You may choose 2 of these effects each day. Your armor class is improved by 1. Yeah, we don't want to increase your armor class anymore using this. Damage rolls on that enemy have advantage. That's fine. You gain resistance to 2 damage. You gain resistance to 1 damage type. In addition, whenever you activate your animated Void Shield, you may change this resistance. Then, in addition, whenever you activate your animated Void Shield, you may change the saving throw affected by your Void Shield enhancement. So, this is all probably pretty good, and if I ever get around to playtesting it, this is probably going to get nerfed considerably, but it's cool, we like it, so we're going to just keep it. Granted, and it's display order 5, improve Void Shield enhancement. There we go. Create class feature. And then level 8, again, we looked through a whole bunch of cleric subclasses, and so this is either potent spell casting or divine strike, which I don't know, I just want the cleric class. Thank you. Which, if we go to the war domain, we can steal the language for divine strike. I know, it's very boring, but we're already getting a whole lot of good stuff, so I'm fine with level 8 being a fairly boring cleric level, and it's just divine strike is just what it's called. Add a class feature, divine strike, 8th level. So let's make this special Void Strike at 8th level. When you gain the ability to infuse your animated Void Shield or weapon attacks with divine energy. Once on each of your turns, when you hit a creature with your animated Void Shield or a melee weapon attack, I guess I just capitalized too many things. To deal an extra of the same type of damage dealt by the weapon to the... Oh, that's interesting. So even though was called Divine Strike, it doesn't do radiant damage, even though it does divine energy. Okay, well, that's fine. So, do we want this to still be 1d8 damage? Because most clerics only get this on their melee weapon attack, so they just get one chance a turn to trigger it. Since you can throw your shield around, you'll have 2. So I think, well, you still can only do it once a turn. You know, we're gonna go ahead. Oh, I don't like. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and and drop it a die size because you as a Void Shield cleric will be able to land it more consistently. And you are already going to have your spiritual weapon out. You know, maybe this isn't what we want, because you'll have your spiritual weapon out, you'll have your Void Shield out. Yeah, no. No, this is fine. This is fine. Required class level 8. Display order, we're up to 6. This is just granted. So, create class feature. And then level 17, we don't get anything as a cleric until level 17 again, which is, well, really kind of, that's a whole lot of levels where your subclass doesn't matter. I mean, I guess you're getting your special domain spells that are always prepared, but level 17 is pretty big, except here for the war one, where by 17th level, I guess players are still facing a lot of things that are non-magical, but it's not that great. I mean, compare that to our level 17 life domain. Well, I guess healing isn't that big of a deal. What does the light domain get at 17? Oh. Okay, it lets you be a bit more of a blaster. So, apparently level 17 isn't as big of a thing as I thought it would be. I think we can just be really incredibly lame here. So they go what? What's the general wording that they go? They go improved. Is it? There's like improved. Well, I guess they're. Well, we'll add a class feature. Oop, nope, not there. Divine Void Shield. Required class level 17. Display order 6. Feature type granted. I forgot to grab all of the text I wanted, which is a thing I say a whole lot. Improved Void Shield enhancement. Edit. And let's call it Divine Void Shield enhancement. Starting at 17th level, your Void Shield is further improved. You gain all of these effects each day. In addition, whenever you activate your animated Void Shield, you may move your... Is Mordenkainen's sword concentration? It is, okay. Your spiritual weapon. Oh no, we already have you activating it as well. So, this is your armor class is increased by 1. And then that gains an additional +1 AC. Nothing really to make better there. You gain resistance to 2 damage types. And you gain advantage to 2 saving throws. Saving throws. Let me change these resistances. You may change the saving throws enhanced. Remove the enemy's resistance or immunity to this damage type. So there you go. It's not a very exciting upgrade, but it gives you something that you've probably wanted is being able to make things vulnerable. All right, we're gonna save our changes, and now we go and we do the exciting part where we see if this is actually going to work. Remind me later. Standard. So I'm just gonna create a random character name. We want to ensure that it's gonna let me use this here. All sources. We don't care what we are. We're just human. Just it's the least likely to do anything goofy. Languages. Again, none of this is really going to matter because all we want is to be a cleric. And we want to choose a divine domain, and it's interesting. Let's go back and make sure that we check homebrew content. Now, divine domain. There we go. So, Void Shield domain spells. Okay. It says we've got them. Bonus proficiencies. It says that we have them. Alright. Choose a generation method. I don't really care. We just want to have something so that we can go. Background. We don't really care. Alright. So, that's fine. So, let's look at our features and traits. Spellcasting, divine domain, bonus proficiencies. There we are. All of our bonus proficiencies did show up. Spells. Only Shield of Faith showed up. Okay, let's go back here. Add class feature. Did we forget spiritual weapon? No, spiritual weapon's there. That's interesting. Manage spells. Prepared spells. Always prepared. That's interesting. Is spiritual weapon not even... Why is spiritual weapon not available? Did we spell it wrong? Maybe we spelled it wrong. Let's try it again. Four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. No, okay. I'll actually have to go through the long way to find things. Void Shield domain. Spiritual weapon, Shield of Faith, Glyph of Warding. Magic circles there. Animate objects, dispel good and evil. Oh, not animate dead. Whoops. Dispel good, evil, and good. Etherealness. Mordenkainen and sword. Astral projection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, it's Shield of Faith. Save changes. Okay. So we need to go back here. So collections, my characters. I think we actually have to delete because we made some changes. And we create again. And this is part of the fun, I say, of making things, is trying to figure out how things work. Whatever. We'll be a hobgoblin this time. Next. We want to be a cleric. We want to be Void Shield Domain. Back spells. Why isn't it giving me spiritual weapon? So what happens if we delete that? Here's my characters. Windshield domain. Okay, let's try this again. So what happens if we get... So is spiritual weapon just not working? Let's see what happens if we delete Shield of Faith. Create a character. Standard. Homebrew. Arkoa. Cleric. Add class. Okay, Divine Domain. Proficiency. So that's interesting. Available at higher levels. Okay. So there's our Void Shield, so that'll show up. Channel Divinity will show up. Improved Void Shield Enhancement shows up. Void Strike shows up. Divine Void Shield Enhancement shows up. So, is it just... So, let's go ahead and just put ourselves to 20. Spellcasting, show more. Okay. So let's go to spells. Prepared spells. Oh, wait, spiritual weapon is... Well, that explains what I've been doing wrong this whole time. I thought spiritual weapon was a first level spell. That's embarrassing. That's incredibly embarrassing. Yeah, okay. That's why it's not working. Alright, so we do need now a new first level spell. Let's go back to our game rules, spells, first, advanced filters, we want core D&D, and we want basic rules. We want first level spells. That's actually hugely embarrassing and kind of awkward. It might be something lame. It might be lame protection from evil and good. Or maybe sanctuary, because that lets you protect people. Shield. Clerics will go through their spells pretty quickly if you give them shield. Yeah, no, not Sanctuary. Sanctuary's not what we want. And your reaction gets very busy late, uh, later on with your Void Shield, so we don't want to suck that up either. So I'm gonna go with Protection from Evil and Good just because it's kind of on theme, right? We're good against extra planar stuff, so let's go fix that horrendous mistake. Class features. Windshield domain spells. Alright. Which does mean we need to rewrite this. Void shields are at their best when using versatile weapons. Maintaining a spiritual weapon and wearing their void shield. There we go. So we just threw in there that they should be using. They should have their spiritual weapon up and running all the time once they get it at second level. We want our characters. Create a character. Standard. Homebrew content. Next. Doesn't matter. We'll be a changeling this time. What does matter is that we're a cleric. Take those. We're now a void shield domain. And now we've picked our divine domain. We've got our domain spells. Oh, did I forget to save? I did forget to save. That's also frustrating. Alright, my characters. And now we should be all brought up to speed. Create a character. Homebrew content. Changeling. Protection for me. It's on there. Oh, you know what? It's probably just because Spells. Manage spell. Alright. That's embarrassing. We need to go to level 5 before we get our next set of cleric spells, which added. Okay. And then at 7, and then at 9 we should get 2 more. And then at 13 we should get 2 more. And then at 15, 17 we get our last ones. Okay, so all of our spells finally load. Don't know what was up with that. Well, why did Spiritual Weapon load? Something's messed up. Acquired spells. Shield of Faith. Save changes. Protection of Shield of Faith. Okay. Maybe we... Oh, we have to wait a bit before we can... my characters. We have to wait a bit before everything catches up. But now we know everything works. So, if you've... if you want to run through this real fast, because we're done now. Here's our Void Shield. It's for the Aryssa World Book, which essentially what the Void Shields do is they are clerics specially designed to deal with fighting things from this place called the Void that want to come and devour their plane. So that's really the simple version of it, and their specialty here, we'll go down, they've got their domain spells that focus on fighting this extraplanar threat. So Shield of Faith, protection from good and evil. There are some good zone defense spells with Magic Circle and Glyph of Warding. They've got Dispel Evil and Good, and then more extraplanar fighting with being able to go ethereal, astrally project themselves, and imprisonment at higher levels. And then Spiritual Weapon's a second level spell, so it's not actually in a legal slot for a domain spell, so that made life a little difficult there. But we give them animate objects, because their big thing, as you can guess, is going to be their magic shield, as well as Mordenkainen's sword as sort of a beefed up spiritual weapon. Those are our domain spells. Bonus proficiencies, because they're going to be throwing their shield and not wearing it most of the time, we gave these clerics proficiency with all of the martial versatile weapons so that they can eke out a little bit more damage when they don't have their shield on, and heavy armor since they'll be at the front line. Simple, straightforward, nothing exciting. We'll just go ahead, open all of these tabs. Then at second level, the cleric gets their defining trait in the channel divinity for their subclass. For the Void Shield, they get one other thing, which is they get to basically empower the shield that they're wearing after a long rest. It increases. They can give them a little better armor class, resist a damage type, or advantage on a saving throw. And then it also will later on be able to get a little bit better at all of these things. Nothing too exciting there. Their channel divinity is that they can animate their own Void Shield, which, when it's animated, it becomes an animated object that they can command with their bonus action. The 4 basic things that they can have it do, in addition, one of the big things here, let's zoom in a little bit, if you have a spiritual weapon or Mordenkainen's sword, which you won't have until level 15, 17, somewhere up there, active. When you activate your Void Shield, you get to use those two. So you essentially fight with animated, magical, divine, spiritual weapons and your shield. So the four things your shield does: it gives you zone control, basically shuts down enemy line of sight in a 3x3 grid, and makes it so that they can't pass through that area. You can gain some temporary hit points before you throw it to someone. You can give an ally some temporary hit points, and they can burn their reaction to give an attacker disadvantage, and until when you first give them the shield until the end, until that ally's next turn, they do have enemy attack rolls and damage rolls have disadvantage against them. So you can use it on a squishy who's gotten surprised, or more than likely your rogue or monk who are out of position, because that's basically what rogues and monks do, is they get out of position. Or you can use your shield to harass a hostile creature, and when you do that, it's also, you make an attack roll against it using your spellcasting modifier and proficiency. Damage on the animated void shield scales like a cantrip. Not bad. That's your channel divinity at 2. As all clerics, you get your second use of a channel divinity at 6 and a third use at 18, I want to say. I looked it up earlier. At 6th level, your Void Shield enhancement is improved. Now you get 2 of the 3 effects, and you can change your resistance and your saving throw enhancement whenever you activate your Void Shield. So if you've made a bad choice, not really a bad choice, you can change it now. You're level 8. You get a Void Strike that lets you make your once around your Void Shield attack or your melee weapon attacks do slightly more damage. Cleric level 8s are kind of boring like this. It's primarily potent spell casting or divine strike. It's not that great, but you're a cleric. By 8th level, you've got 4th level spells. You don't really need anything fancy at this point. And then you don't get anything else from your subclass as a cleric from level 8 to level 17 except for domain spells. And at level 17, you don't have to make any choices anymore. Your Void Shield, it grants you the bonus armor class. It gives the enemies disadvantage if you harass them with it. You get resistance to 2 damage types, and if it removes resistance or immunity to those damage types as well from bad guys, and then you get advantage on 2 saving throws. So your animated Void Shield becomes an incredible tool, and that's basically what your class is designed around. And so I want to thank. I really feel bad. I don't pay attention enough to chat. So thank you for the Bandit King and the folks who came by to watch. What D&D is exciting, I agree, but sometimes scrolling through a whole bunch of tables on D&D Beyond and figuring out that the reason spiritual weapon wasn't showing up is because that's a level 2 spell. It's kind of an interesting thing, but thank you all for coming by, and this is the Cleric. I'll be publishing it as soon as D&D Beyond lets me, so look it up if you want to. Thanks so much. Have a great day.